do you want to talk about today?
Yeah, so Carrie Cohen, best-selling author and somebody who died twice. And look, here's proof that I've read your book.
No, when we talked the other day on another matter, you went, wait a minute, what's your name? And I said, Carrie. And you went, oh, I have your book.
I know, it was 6 months ago,
funny.
I watched the video you did with Charlie, and I bought this book, The 5 Lessons of Life.
Wow.
I'll put a link to it on my channel, which is just great. Yeah, but I didn't recognize you. Sorry.
Well, I was blonde hair, blue eyed in that one, right? The back cover. And I went back to my natural roots. I kept hearing, go back to your roots, go back to your roots. And I thought it was back to the native roots, start using sage and smudge and shit or stuff. And then it was like, no, go back to your roots, right?
So Carrie's gonna bring out a new spiritual survival guide. Number 1, stop using hair dye.
Well,
that's the answer.
There's no accident that we call it dye.
Well, we're starting this on sprinting.
Deep stuff.
Yeah.
Deep stuff, right? Well, the words are powerful, and there are hints in the words, hints in the world, but hints in the words. When I died my second time, I sat with Jesus, and that was part of the thing. Like, it's beautiful. In the back of the book, I'll just quickly pull it up because right here, page 152. There's all these words that were broken down, and this is back like 30 years ago, right? Yeah. So release becomes real ease, and love, I would hear love backwards, and it was evil, right? Evil. And what was it? Light, I think, was the devil. Live.
Well, live inverted is evil.
Yeah.
I had a friend round this morning who's an etymology expert, and we were just chatting, and he said, you know the word ill? I said, yeah. He said, what does it really mean? I was like, I don't know. He said, it really means evil.
Right.
And it's just everywhere.
Well,
we're going to have to rewrite. We're going to have to learn a new language.
Yeah, but live is evil backwards, but lived with a D is devil backwards. Yeah, and so when you start looking at it's right in front of us, all of these different ways, it's all contrast. You can either go to the devil or you can live your life, right? You can live in the light. And it was really beautiful.
Well, that was one of the big things for me was when I was taught this thing that they have in the Masons, which is hidden in plain sight. Once you get that, and I did a video this morning about symbolism because it's just to show people it's everywhere. Once you see it, once that unblocks, you see it everywhere. And then it becomes a real pain in the ass because it's like the kids say, can we go to the cinema? And I go, right, what is it? What studio made it? Right, this has been going on for years,
Marvel. Yeah.
Oh, Marvel, yeah.
Marvel. So we've been watching all the Marvel series, and I've been doing exactly what you're saying. Every single Captain America, we were watching 2 different, and they were actually talking about the New World Order in Captain America. The symbolism, and my daughter turned to me, she goes, oh, Mom, you're starting to sound paranoid. And I said, are you kidding me? It is everywhere. It's right in front of you there. Can you not see this, right? And she was like, yeah, but it is too much in front of us. And I said, but that's what they're doing with these movies, is they're doing a soft sell, a soft exposure, and getting you ready.
It's insidious.
It is. It's subliminal.
It's all about fatting the cow before the slaughter.
Yes.
Before the slaughter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So talking about, the slaughter, I think that I have breaking news with you, and that is yesterday I did the Michael Jaco show, right? Had an interview with him. And I was talking about the end of the Mayan calendar. It's a long story, but I was part of that. And I ended up having this property in Banff, Alberta. And it's a small little ski resort. I don't know if you're familiar with Banff at all.
I don't know it right. No, I've heard of it, but I've never been.
Well, it's a huge vortex as well. It's right in the midst of the Rocky Mountains, right? Like right in the, it's gorgeous piece of property. And And every time that I would be driving to my house through, from Calgary, I go past Canmore and into Banff. Just as I was coming in, there was this little shack on the side. And I talked about it with Michael Jaco, saying I would remote view and I would go into that shack and down, and it would go down, down, down. And I could see they were not nice ETs. These guys were like nasty critters.
What do they look like?
These ones were white, funny enough, grayish white, but they were tall. And it had an opened center that was all lit up like a big generator, and it was open inside, and then it would go off into corridors, but also down even further. But a lot of lab coats in this one as well. Maybe that's what was the white that I was seeing, was lab coats, because it was military as well as ET using this property, and it was not nice. There was a lot of experiments. It wasn't human trafficking in this one. It wasn't children in this one. I think it was more experiments, and they were right at the end of a dam, and the water would come in and go down into this long corridor that went down, down, down. But every time we drive by, we'd all get the shudders, it was like weebie-jeebies just looking into it. And the ETs that were supposed to come through at the end of the Mayan calendar, these ones were big. They were like, oh my goodness, my computer is doing all kinds of fun things here.
Well, it is. I've been having that all day. It's definitely still. Is it still Mercury retrograde?
No, I think they're just up to stuff.
Are they just up to stuff? Because my live chat wouldn't work this morning, and all sorts.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah.
Keep it coming, boys.
Computer. Yeah, I know, right? We're still going to get the message.
Yeah, we're still getting it out there.
Yeah. So the ETs that were supposed to come through at the end of the Mayan calendar, they were insectal kind of. They looked like giant flies, long legs, and kind of a trail. Their bum had like tentacles almost that fell from them, but big black wings, black head, real teeth, like they would,
They sound lovely.
They were nasty. And they buzzed. They had they were that vibration, and it was really not pleasant by any means. So I'm just hiding my husband right now. He's coming in and out of the door, the reflection in the mirror. Hey, honey. Yeah. So I'm like, oh shit. We'll cover him up for a second. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know why I'm swearing so much today.
It's probably because you're with me. I make people swear.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I have a swearing. People complain. Stop cussing. I'm like, fuck off. I can't.
Yeah. Exactly. Right?
It's just. I have a different view on swearing to Bible Belt people. Even nothing against Bible Belt people. It's just I have a different view.
I get it.
Swearing is a release, and it's a powerful word, and that's why they don't want you to do it.
Right.
Organized religion is designed to put you in a box. But anyway.
Yes. Okay, so let's go back to Banff, because what happened was I talked with Michael Jaco about this, and 12 hours later, 5:33 a.m., 4.4 earthquake on the Richter scale in Banff, Alberta, which is not on a fault line. And it was in between Canmore and Banff. And that's exactly where that little shed is. Exactly, and it follows down like you can actually look at it and follow it. It looks like, the dirt is being dug up, and it's being, the forest has been taken away, and you can follow that line, and it goes all the way to Calgary and beyond, and then down south into the States.
Well, somebody sent me a map of New Zealand with loads of earthquakes spotted on it from the weekend, and said, "Can you?" And I couldn't see. I didn't have time to go into it, and I'm just listening to Gene Decode in between stuff today on Michael's show.
Yep.
How many earthquakes does it take before people realize what's going on?
Right? Isn't that the question? I'd love to speak with Gene if you have any connections with him.
No, I've emailed him and I've asked him.
I know. Tough to get a hold of them, but this one in particular is pretty wild, because we've known about Banff and the corridor there being part of the DOMS, but to have this earthquake, 12 hours after exposing the actual site of the entrance, That was really interesting. So
Really,
a lot of people were commenting saying, oh my God, heard about the explosion this morning. And there were so many people that are saying, oh, it must be from mining. It must be, Jason Kenney, the premier of the province. He's like, the state governor, and he must be, mining too much, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, are you kidding? Jason Kenney is part of the Bilderberg group. He attended the Bilderberg associations in 2014 was the first time he attended that I know of. And then he got voted into a public office, shortly after
let's
that.
just pause there. Anybody watching this doesn't know what the Bilderberg group is, go and research it on
Yes.
DuckDuckGo and look into it. Bilderberg was set up in 1958, I think, by the King, Queen of Netherlands, Beatrix. And they have a meeting every year, and it was secret for years and years and years until it just got exposed so much they pretended it was just a meeting.
That's right.
And
well, it was Obama years was when it was really exposed.
Yeah.
All the government heads would come together in these secret society meetings. And what were they doing? Well, now we know.
Exactly.
Take a look around us.
And the facts, I was dwelling on the Q comment about once everybody knows what they've really been up to, they won't be able to walk in the streets. But if you go back and look at Luke Wadowski walking up to Jacob Rothschild in the streets of New York, just walking up to him and talking to him, they created this world so that they could hide in plain sight in amongst us. Whilst we're all focused on the politicians match, they're just walking around eating in restaurants like normal. Yet, at the same time, eating our children. Fabulous. Best disguise ever.
Yes. Isn't that disgusting? Yeah. It's right in front of us. So, many of us have been canaries, the canary in the mine. And many of us have been canaries for a long time. I mean, for me, it's been over 22 years now. I started in 1998 as a vocal, alarm clock saying, wake up, people, mine was pedophilia. Actually, you know what? I started even before that. When I died in 93, I came back and they kept saying, you got to go back. You got too much to do. And I was like, I'm a bartender. What am I going to do? Right. I was an alcoholic. I liked serving drinks because I could have as many free drinks as I wanted. And I was good at it. And anyways.
Well, that's a bit like why priests become priests.
Oh yeah, exactly. Got kids
Free access
right there.
To children whenever you want.
Yeah. Well, mine was alcohol. That was my.
Well, I've been there with the alcohol as well, Carrie.
Have you? Yeah. I think a lot of spiritual people have. Right? Because you numb yourself. You get so many messages, so many insights, and it's scary.
I said, I've been saying for 30 years that my energy is so high, and a lot of people that have not been able to cope with it, that I said, well, I literally numb myself down. And then it becomes a habit, and then it becomes something that actually starts to destroy you, and then you have to go through a process of getting rid of it again. But that's you're the first person I've met that said that, and I've been saying that for years.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Well, actually, it even goes further than that. In what year would that have been? 2014. Excuse me. I heard very clearly that I wasn't going to be around here on the planet very much longer unless I changed my ways. I had to clean up my act again, because I stopped drinking for a long time, and then I started going back at it, and my brother was passing. And so, you use excuses when, there's tragedy and really big stuff happening. It's like, oh, it's just too easy to go back to, swigging. And so, and I heard you have to do 33 days conversation with Carrie. A lot of people were asking, well, why did you do 33 days? And I was like, because I heard it, and power numbers were 11, 22, and 33 in numerology, right? And 33 for me was the most powerful, like 11, 22, 33. And then
because I saw 33, just before we spoke.
Did you really?
Well, that's interesting.
And the bomb that went off, that is the earthquake in Banff, it went off at 5:33 a.m., right? And my conversation with Michael Jaco was, the point in the video was 47 minutes and 33 seconds. It's a 0.33 again.
Did you know that I'd been on Michael Jaco's show, and live on air he said that I was in the secret space program?
Really? Yeah. Were you in the secret space program?
I have no idea. I'm doing a lot of astral work,
Yes.
but I think that might be the same thing. But
Well,
I don't.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I'm
it's
not going
splitting
around
your.
saying I'm in the SSP. I'm not doing that. But I was on a live with him about 2 months ago, and he said, "Yeah, you're on the same program." And I was like, "Am I?" Ooh.
Oof. Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool, actually, when you can step out and do stuff like that. Okay. So I've kind of done that since I was a little girl. I was brought up in the military. My dad was in the military.
I
He
was
won
in
the
the military.
military merit. Were you really?
Yeah. I was a
You, oh, you were a pilot? Wow. Well, I was an Air Force brat. I just was in the bases. But I was talking to Sasha Stone, and I was talking about this with him, and he goes, "Well, you realize, Carrie, I never put this video out there, actually. I recorded it, but I haven't put it out there because at the time it was a lot of sensitive stuff that I wasn't willing to talk about yet. Now I've shared it all, so I guess I can put that
Well,
video out. Anyways,
we're past all that, aren't we?
totally. Totally, right?
Yeah, we got.
You
We
there?
got little. We
Yeah.
got little. We got
So
little.
Sasha
gremlins.
Stone, a little excited there. Yeah.
Zoom gremlins are making you go. And don't complain about it if you're watching it. This is just Zoom. We can't do much about it. Is it working now?
Yeah. And so getting excited also does this, right? You throw energy when you get a little excited. So talking to Sasha Stone, he was saying to me that you realize that when someone signs up in the military, they sign a contract. And I said, yeah, of course. And he goes, but that contract says that the government now owns the person that is a soldier.
Yep.
But it also says that it owns the rights to be able to experiment or, use or own their spouse, their future spouse, and all future children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and so on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, didn't know that part of it,
I'm glad
but it all made sense. What's that?
I'm glad I broke my contract. But as you were saying that, I was also getting flashbacks to being in a dark room with like a colander on my head with wires coming out of it. And I was in there for hours and I didn't even know what it was. They were just doing stuff to me.
Doing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had the same, I had repeated dreams of being in the labs. They were really white. I'm getting shivers just. Oh, yeah, they were white labs and I would be able to escape. And look at this internet. They just don't want us to talk.
They don't want us to talk. This is like, we've tried to talk loads in the last week.
So many times. Yep.
Must be
and they're afraid. Be afraid. Be very, very afraid.
Be afraid of me, guys.
Yeah. Well, we're exposing a lot of stuff, and we've been the catalyst for a lot of change, including these DOMs that were just blowing up last night, right? Mm-hmm. So anyways, wormholes. I was able to go into wormholes and escape from the experimentation. And when we were little, we used to, in the military base, we were on a northern spy station for the Russians, for Canadians, but we spied on the Russians in the mid to late 60s.
Is this Alaska?
Close. It was actually on the eastern side of Canada. So it was closer to the Hudson Bay, water. And we were the furthest most northern military base that were the spy station on the Russians. So, I often talk about the stories there that we had the horns up on the telephone poles and they go, woo, and you would have to run to the house, 4 years old, running to the house, and we'd black it out and we'd shut the curtains and you could hear the plane.
Because curtains are really good.
We never knew if it was a
Russian. Curtains are a really good deterrent against nuclear bombs, aren't they?
Sorry, break it up.
Oh,
yes.
Trying to do jokes
and
here.
So it's hiding underneath your school desk. So it's hiding underneath your school desk or standing in the door frame. Remember that one?
Yeah, I remember all of them. I was trying to explain to my kids.
Yeah, and then you see the movies that would be black and white. Yeah, what we saw, what we felt, the fear. Yeah. Yeah. I've had a lot of fiancés in my life, and one
Really?
of them, well, yeah,
A lot of fiancés.
a lot of fiancés, and one of them, I would get there, and then I go, no, 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 it doesn't
There's a
feel.
lot of jilted
Not
men around the world watching this going, "Shit."
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, came that close. But one of them was Russian, and I remember distinctly. It took me a while to reprogram myself that no, he's really a nice man. I had to, because I had grown up with such fear about the Russians, and that was like the wake up call. And then I Googled how many wars the United States had been into since 1776, right? 1776. And it's like, I don't know, something like 20 years of peace in the last 300 years. Every year they were at war with some, Grenada, for goodness sakes, little tiny island. And you would think that it would be over oil or gas or whatever. I had a lot of intel, people that were writing me saying, yeah, my father or my grandfather was, or my husband was this general, and it was all about control. It was all about trafficking, and
Yeah, we should point out that
yeah. So
it's not the US that was at war with anybody. It was the cabal using
it was a cabal,
as a
absolutely.
tool, the same as they're using the CCP as a tool now, and
Yeah.
trying to divide everybody based on countries and stuff. It's still all nonsense.
Exactly. Good distinction. Yes. It's like we talk about the CCP, and we, or China. We talk about China, and it's not China.
Not China.
The Chinese people are amazing. It's a CCP,
Yeah.
right?
Which,
Yeah. Good distinction.
I think it's really.
So, anyways,
people.
we were a spy station on the Russians at the time, and growing up, you know, I know that we were experimented on. When we were little, we would have to go in a separate school bus from all the other kids. And there were 13 of us kids, 13 again, there's that number. And I distinctly remember it was like a little peanut bus. It was a tiny little bus. And I don't remember getting to school. I don't remember much of my kindergarten years, yet I remember my earliest memory is 2 weeks old. I have a distinct memory. I talked about it with my mom, and she goes, how do you remember that? That happened, how do you remember that? I remember being in the arms. I remember being passed around, and everyone was drinking, and they were having wine and stuff, celebrating my birth, right? And it was delayed because we had moved from one military base to another up to this northern remote military base, and family had come. I remember the setup. I described the room to my mom, and we had no pictures back then of that corner of the house. And yeah, she was blown away. So I have good memories, even though there was a lot of dark stuff, but the military, I remember, and then total blanks, but there's glitches and glimpses that come back of the actual experimenting, right? And I think that's why I could have out-of-body experiences at 3 years old. I could jump out of my body and, follow my mom downstairs and yeah, do all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah, well, I
see
had
things.
OBEs and NDEs when I was little. I had the meningitis when I was 7, and I've told this story before, but it was years later that I realized that I was looking down on myself and having a conversation with somebody that wasn't in the room. That was all part of my awakening. I think that was about 7 or 8 years ago that I remembered that, and then that unlocks loads of other memories, and that's.
That leads me to this. I wondered why I brought this out. So this is a picture of my sister drew this. She's an artist. She, and she did this very, very quickly. And when we didn't talk for many, many years. And I said to her, do you remember any ET stuff when we were little? And she goes, oh my God, yeah. When you were 2 years old, we shared a room. And so she would have been like six years old, 6 or 7. And she was in one bed, right? This was her bed, and this was my bed over here. And I was by the window in the dresser, and there was a closet here. And she said, I remember, she didn't know his name, but it's the Hat Man. Do you remember the Hat Man? He was always in a trench coat, and he wore a fedora, but he was really tall and slender. And she said there was a tall guy that was an alien, so a tall gray. She doesn't have, like, she has TV, but she doesn't have the internet. She's, very removed from all of this world. And so she doesn't like to look into this stuff. And so, yeah, she had all this knowledge. And she said, I remember being frozen solid at night, and I could see these two in the bedroom, and they were at the foot of your bed, and they were coming for you. And I made a deal with them that, no, leave her alone, come for me. And so the fedora man came over to her and touched her, and she had no memory after that. But I was like, well, why is that poor man so short and squat? That makes no sense to me, because he's a very tall guy. And then I realized, she was fearful. She was out of her body. She was looking up and down. If you're looking down on the tall guy, he would look short and squat. It's from her vision, her memory, she's out of her body, right? Yeah. So interesting stuff. Look up the fedora man, or hat man, they call him. And yeah, he's often, if you had any military or experiment done on you, he's like the top dog. Yeah.
Who is he then? Who is the fedora man?
He is military. He's humanoid. I don't want to say he's 100% human, but he works with the ETs. He's like the big boss. Really? And he was in charge of the experiments. Yeah.
Because I mean, can I tell you something really weird that happened to me? Just because you might have heard of this stuff. You've heard of V2K technology?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So this happened to me. I've mentioned it briefly on earlier videos, but there was I had voices in my head for quite a long time, and I thought I was going insane.
Let me interrupt, because I know V2K, but I don't remember what it's about. So can you please remind me? What is it? Is it mind control?
Voice to skull technology.
Right.
So it's the ability to beam thoughts into your head so that you think they're your own. And I didn't know anything about this until I met an ex US Navy guy who was telling me about it. And I went, that's happened to me. And they put awful thoughts in my head. And I'd be like trying to get them out of my head. It was, so when people watching this think that voices in your head are just you going mad. No, it's not. There's the technology there. Yeah. And they, and I knew they had tabs on me for years after I left the Air Force. I knew that.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
They didn't want me to go.
They'd have to watch you. Yeah, it would be like, oh, okay, we're going to watch this guy.
And by the way, I'm just going to say,
powerful.
It's very important to say that in no way am I saying that people in the military are bad. In fact, I think what's going on at the moment is we've got amazing people in the military who are saving our asses.
No kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
Saving the world.
Well, yeah. Well, we're all doing it as one. We're doing it because we're multidimensional. A lot of us are fighting in different realms. But even speaking out and talking like this is helping other people to wake up and giving them the confidence to own their own memories and find permission. And it's one. I get emails all day, every day, just saying stuff, and it's just really touching and amazing,
isn't it? Though.
And what I think, one thing I think we've got quite a few things in common, but one thing is this understanding that we are eternal spirits. Yes. So what is there to be afraid of? That's the way I see it.
Once you've died a couple of times, you know what I mean?
Let's talk about that a bit, Carrie.
Yeah. Well, I just want to go back to the V2K because, because that brought up something. For a long time, I'd feel vibration around me, like a cell phone going bzz, bzz, and I'd like look on the couch.
I got that. And my phone wasn't. Yeah,
there's no phone there. And it's like,
I've never talked about this.
Yes, but that vibration, that is V2K. That is bringing in a vibration that is doing stuff. So Chinese have been covering their TVs, their electronic equipment for decades. I mean, since the 50s, since the televisions were really coming out, right? They always would cover the television. And I think that someone went back in the timeline and told them that through the television, you can be watched, you can be, programmed. It's television, right? We all know that one now. It's to television, it's to program you. And so, cover up your television, cover up on my cell phone, on my computer here. I have a sliding, cover. So the cameras are always shut. The computer is always down unless I'm actually speaking on it. And
actually,
you have to be proactive.
Yeah, I this morning I had an experience with my daughter where for the very first time in her entire life, I left her speechless because she was saying something, and I was talking about the language that we use, and that she should be careful, watch the words that come out. And she said, "Well, no one can hear me." And then I went, apart from your phone. And then she went,
Right.
"Oh yeah, good point."
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Big Brother's watching everywhere, right?
Yeah,
And it's not even Big Brother; it's a cabal. It's the Illuminati. It's a cabal. It's yeah. So, what were you going to say?
yeah. Well, I was going to talk about if anybody that's not seen you before, you died twice in '92 and '93.
Yeah.
You went to the White Void,
Mm.
and you learned a load of lessons, and then you came back
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah.
You were
Twice.
greedy.
First time.
More.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I've come close to dying a couple of times since, really, yeah. But the first time I died, I saw the devil. I came toe to toe with what we would know as the devil. And for a long time, I didn't want to put that in the book, because I thought, this should be uplifting. This should be all about hope and faith and the 5 lessons, right? Forgiveness, compassion, faith, trust, that we're on the right path, and unconditional love. But when I was really pushed to put in the dark stuff as well, because, and thank God I did. So many people have come forward now and write me constantly and say, I too see the eyes. When I close my eyes, bam, there's a set of eyes staring at me. And it'll turn into a snake or whatever, and morph into something very dark and demonic. The gremlins coming up through the floorboards, the hissing sound, the negative thoughts. Like I was climbing a mountain once with my, I want to call him an adopted son. In our native culture, we adopt a lot of kids. They just happen to come into your life and you end up being mom to many, right? And one of my kids, Dallas Jr., he's such an amazing kid. And as we were climbing a mountain, he started getting all these negative thoughts and of hurting me and harming me. And we got up to the top of the mountain, and it was a windstorm, and we were fighting against the wind. And he was like, I don't know what's going on, and I said, I know it's a very dark force that was around us. My brother was passing at the time, and they were after his soul. And so that was another battle I was in for his soul. And so I had worked with Adamus and the people of Telos in Mount Shasta. They are the people that were Lemurians, right? There's Atlantis and sister city of Lemuria. And Lemuria was where Mount Shasta is in California, right? And so it's a crystal city that is underneath Mount Shasta, and the people of Telos and their leader, Adama, I hear him as Adamus. I had connected with them. That's a whole nother subject that is beautiful. So anyways, I called them in through the tree root system. I went through the tree roots, and it's like a telephone line. You can go through the tree roots and it can be anywhere in seconds. And so I went to Mount Shasta, asked for help. They came back, they circled the valley. All of the people of Telos stood guard on the peak, right? And it's a huge valley, so surrounded. And Adamus stood in front with a staff, and he cleared the energy. And when it was all said and done, Dallas Jr. turned to me and he said, I hate to admit it, but I kept hearing, it was almost like out of the movie, like My Pretty, it what's
Lord of the Rings.
the movie? Lord of the Rings. Yes, yeah. Yes. It was like that voice. Yes. And it kept saying, killer. Killer. Yeah. Killer. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and he had the bear spray on him because we were going up into the mountains. Yeah. And so he kept hearing that he should use the bear spray on me and throw me over the mountain. And he was like, what the hell is this? But that is that technology, right? And it is also very demonic, right? It was a very dark spirit that we were up against. And once again, we won. Yay. Yeah. just listening. I didn't know about tree root systems at that time. Learned all about how, you can bring your thoughts. You can travel like remote viewing, but you just travel into the tree, the nearest tree, go into the roots, and you can go anywhere. It's amazing.
Well, yesterday I sat next to a tree and I was showing my son how to sit there so that you're in the right energy field.
That's right.
But I didn't know about the roots.
Yes.
So next, I'm going to go on a walk after this, and I'm going to go and talk to a tree and see where I go.
Yeah, tree talk.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
I mean, like in Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings, tree beard. You know, Tolkien said that was a
Yes.
true history of the earth. You've got talking trees.
Yes.
All makes sense.
It's a talking trees. In our native culture, we call them standing people, right? They're the standing people. They are the wise ones. Yeah. They keep the knowledge. Yeah. And they also connect the grid. The energetic grid of the world is all connected through the trees, right? So when you look at it, it's actually like a coronavirus.
Yeah.
It's like it's got the earth, and the trees are like the coronavirus. They all come out, and so it is all a circle, right? It is all it's a world of contrast. So we've got the dark and the light, and the light part of that is the life force that the trees give us, and it's time that we honored them greatly. Absolutely. There's that internet connection again.
No, well,
anyways, lots of stories. You have a lot going, don't you? You know, I saw you on a testimonial of a product that looked great. I actually bought the product. I can't remember what it was. The name of it. Yes, Samcart. Yeah. Looked like a great program.
My friend said,
so I'm going to use that. Thank you for.
Well, do it through my affiliate link. I'll send you the affiliate link.
Too late. I already bought it.
No.
Damn it. So put your affiliate link into the video so others can look at it, because it looks like a really great product.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
And I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I was talking this morning about, you know, how can I be more use? And, you know, I teach internet marketing, I teach business. I've been teaching that for years and years and years, and I've not done any since the pandemic. And then lots of people are asking me, how do you know, I've lost my job and my business is going down, blah, blah, blah. You know, I need to do something else for income. So I said, well, I'm thinking of setting up a little club where I can start teaching that stuff again, maybe on a Sunday morning and do that kind of thing. Because sovereignty is not just about your health and your food, and it's about your income and just being sovereign.
Yes.
No, I've not been
employed being creative.
for 30 years. I've not been employed for 30 years. I'm unemployable. I'm an expert at being unemployed.
Yeah, join the club.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can come on.
Yeah. When have I ever been employed? Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. I was a contracted employee for a lot of years, you know, in real estate, right?
Yeah. But a lot of us are unemployable because the system's just, you know, it's not going to work. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked. And there are new ways of living. And I'm very excited about what's coming. But what I want to ask you, Carrie, is because we're only going to do an hour today. There's obviously tons of things we could talk about. But how are you feeling about the next couple of years in your head and your heart? Are you on the truth train?
Next couple of years. Oh, I'm excited. Are you kidding? We're alive. You know, the Creator wouldn't have said, if we were really going to hell and back, he would have said, okay, sure, stay. You don't have to go back.
I think we've already been there.
But they were insistent. Yeah, absolutely. We've already done this. This has been a repeated, it's called an endless loop. They showed me this when I was in heaven. It's an endless loop. And so, you know, 5,000 year cycle, we've been on an endless loop. We've had nuclear holocausts on Earth every 5,000 years, pretty much. And that is the end of times. But this is the furthest I think that we've ever gotten. I think this is the furthest. We've won. It's already done. We've won. We live in a residual effect of our yesterday's thoughts, right? So if you're manifesting, for instance, you manifest and you look into the future. And when you get to that point where you've manifested it, what you realize is that you're living in the residual of yesterday's thoughts. Yesterday's thoughts are catching up to you, and you're living in the manifestation of what you desired. So I believe we've already won. We've already put it out there. It's already there. It's already done. So we're just playing catch up right now. We're getting to that thought process where we're going to actually experience it. And it's pretty exciting when all the clues are there. I mean, how many more clues do we need? We look at Trump and he's on the golf course and he says, yeah, it's not over yet. You know, I'm coming back, whatever it was he said. But, you know, the clues are there for us to gather and to pick up upon. And yeah, I think that 3 years, it'll be very similar to Michael Tillinger's One Small Town, right? Ubuntu. I think that we're going to be self-sufficient. I think that there will be more community gardens, home gardens. There won't be the big importing from around the countries. But I also think that the ETs are going to be arriving very soon. Like, could be this year, definitely next year.
Well,
and they're going to be living amongst us.
I saw 1,000 ships, thousands of ships,
Yes.
in December,
Yes.
and it was like they were cloaked, and they just sort of decloaked for a second to show me, and then they cloaked up again, and I was like,
Yep.
wow, because I've been seeing UFOs for years since I was a
Yep.
little boy, and I think that's why I ended up being a pilot.
Yep.
I don't know how these things work. I've got, I must admit, I'm, I called this show, my show, Adventures in a Meat Suit, because I wanted it to be about exploration, getting people like you on exploring ideas. So I don't to say that stuff is set in stone, and there's all these. There are many versions of what the ETs mean, whether it's like an inner thing that we're projecting, whether it's an interdimensional thing, whether it's below the ground. What are your views on that? I mean, because you're using words like ET the same as I would, but
I don't like aliens. I don't like the name alien because they're not alien. We're ETs. You and I are an ET, right? Yeah. When I died, I was shown very clearly that I was given a choice of where I wanted to go, what planet, what universe, what galaxy I wanted to be living in and learn from. So I chose Earth, as did you and 8 billion other people, but we are all ETs. We are all aliens. Not aliens, but we're all ETs, because we could have chosen, XYZ planet on another hemisphere, another, dimension even, versus Earth, right? So the fact that we have chosen Earth doesn't mean that we're just humans. Most of us are hybrids. I think that, we're, especially ones that were brought up in the military or were in the military. I think a lot of us were experimented upon and are hybrids, half alien, half human. So we have the abilities that, we can do the remote viewing and doing all that. Mind you, again, I think all humans can do that. I think all of us are hybrids. I think all of us have these abilities. We're only using, they say 5% of the brain. I think it's like 1%.
Yeah.
I think when we really start to step into stuff, that's when the world's going to change. When I was 4 years old, I could speak telepathically. I have a really good girlfriend who lives in Norway, and she was 8, I was 4. And I didn't know where Norway was when I was 4 years old. We were on a base that had 150 people, remote. I didn't know anything beyond our little PMQs, private marriage quarters, right? Our little barrackses and the lake. And maybe the mess, because, the candies were down at the mess, right? But I didn't know anything beyond that, but I could lay on the ground in the grass in the summer's day, and I could feel myself lifting up, and I could hear a little girl speaking to me. And we had conversations. For years, we would talk. And when, 50 some odd years later, ended up meeting her.
Really?
And she lives in Norway. Yeah. So my daughter was going to India, and as she was leaving, I felt and I heard that message, right? I knew that this woman that...
Well, nobody wants you to tell this story. Oh dear, this could be tough. Oh.
Had spoken to, when I was 4 years old. She didn't know how, but original. Can you hear me?
Yeah, all went very funny then.
Yeah. So I went upstairs and I grabbed a gift. It was native art, but it was a beaded bracelet, right? Or jewelry. And so I came down and I said, "You're going to meet a blonde-haired woman." I was bleach blonde back then. And I said, "She's going to look a lot like me. We're like sisters. And you're going to meet her. You'll see her across the room. And I need you to give this to her and let her know that I remember her from our conversations when I was 4. That's all you need to say." she said, okay, I got to run, Mom, hang out of here. And I said, okay, bye. And off she went to the airport. And about a week and a half later, she Googles me, and with this picture of this blonde hair woman that's a character. And she's like, woohoo, I found my sister, right? And she has full memories of our conversations. So we talked about our conversations, and I'm getting the goosebumps, right?
Yeah,
I call them truth bumps. Yeah, when you speak the truth, right? And yeah, so we had this conversation. It was beautiful, and so I ended up going to Norway and meeting her, and she came to Dubai. I was in Dubai, and she met me there, and we just best of friends, right? But she remembers very much. So telepathy is an interesting thing when you have no secrets, right? When you have an open heart, this is the key, and you let go of alcohol, and you let go of any drugs or dependency of shopping or whatever it is. When you are an open vessel, that's when you can be telepathic.
That's right.
And
I found I've had to let go of process loads of things over the years.
Totally.
And that's what Ascension is all about. It's just getting into a place where you can exist in that frequency.
Amen.
Because the frequency of lying and alcohol and everything else is just distorting that signal all the time. So,
well, let's go back to alcohol. One more thing on closing. We talked about it earlier, right? And I had this thought, but I want to finish with it, is that I heard, do the 33 days conversation with Carrie, which I've done, and it was up for years, and I've taken it down. But anyways, it was the very first day I heard, your days are numbered. You're not going to be here beyond 53 years old. And I was like, what? Oh my God. Okay, what do you need me to do? And it was like, give it away, give it away, give it away, give away all your knowledge, give away, in this conversations with Carrie. And so the first one was, I woke up and I heard, look at the origins of the word alcohol. And this is many years ago. Yeah, it's alcohol, right? It's Arabic, A-L and K-U-H-L, and alcohol. And in some readings, it says that the meaning is spirit eater. And so when you start looking at all of this, I started muscle testing, right? So you can do muscle testing all kinds of different ways. And I muscle test and asked, okay, so does alcohol affect my spirit? Absolutely. Can my spirit stay in my body? Can my spirit stay in my body when I've had any alcohol? No, it actually has to step out. It actually has to kind of hover behind you a little bit.
Makes room.
And yes, it makes room. And so how many drinks? One drink? Less than one drink. One sip? One sip is all it takes of alcohol. And then I heard, well, think about it, Carrie. Alcohol is used as an astringent. It's used to kill anything that's living, any bacteria. It's used in operations, to sterilize all the equipment, rubbing alcohol, right? Because it kills everything that's living. So you put it in your system, of course you're going to have, your body and spirit have to separate. And there's no accidents that we call alcohol spirits, because spirits come in with that alcohol and they take your body for a joyride. So that's why you feel less inhibition, you feel more sexual, you feel like woohoo, and that is other spirits taking you for a joyride.
Yeah, I was having this conversation this morning with my daughter.
Really?
Yeah, exactly that.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
That. Because it's that's
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't see,
as a kid,
if you drive through an Irish town, you'll see, this town here 20 years ago had like 30 pubs in it, and it's a small town. Now it's got like maybe 10.
Wow.
But since the pandemic, all the pubs have been basically shut for nearly a year. And that seems very interesting, because lots of people were moaning about this, but lots of people have been drinking at home.
Yes.
Right? So the alcoholism's actually got slightly worse. But the public places for alcohol. So I used to think maybe they're shutting this because they don't want us to talk, because in a pub people talk and blah blah blah. The problem is when people are in a pub and they do talk, they've forgotten it the next day anyway because they got drunk. So maybe this spiritual quarantine actually makes sense. And one of the things Ireland has to do is get off its dependency on alcohol, because alcohol seriously is a very, very deeply run thing here. But then at the same time, the confusing part of that is that the cabal themselves have been trying to destroy pubs. So it's like it's a combination. What I was going to say, you know, I'm not going to solve that now, but what I was going to say is that you'll see pubs and off licenses open across the world, and the off licenses have been open all the way through all of this, but you never see a magic mushroom shop or a, you know, a place to go and get peyote, you know,
Yeah, right.
you know,
Yeah.
spirit enhancing
Yeah.
plants. So, you know,
Unless you live in Vancouver, British Columbia, then you see all kinds of, you know, pot places, right? And,
yeah, but isn't it GM? Isn't it GM though? I mean,
yeah.
the places are.
I don't know. I've never tried drugs. I really don't know much about them. But my ex, he actually owns one of the pot places in Vancouver, and they've had to shut down because during COVID they shut down all the doors, even the medicinal, you know, pot, right?
I just found it interesting that Canada, which is a deeply satanic place, allowed cannabis to suddenly be all right. The only conclusion I can come to is that they couldn't stop it, so they had to make it legal so that they could start controlling it, because they just buy everybody up and then change the supply line to genetically modified stuff, which doesn't do the same thing. So that was my conclusion.
It's also taking away the resistance, right? It's also taking away the resistance. So once, you know, they become in alignment with it, then they can tax the hell out of it and make profit.
And then they've got full control.
And that was Trudeau. It was, again, you know, Castro Jr. that, yeah, exactly.
Long dead, I believe.
Well, yeah, I worked with Trudeau before he became prime minister. He met with my oldest daughter. She was Miss Teen Canada.
Oh, I remember you telling this story before.
Yeah. And so we were at the World Summit, Youth Summit, and it was held in Edmonton, Alberta. And he was an interesting guy. He was so, at that time, pro NAFTA. He was like, we have to keep NAFTA. If we don't have NAFTA, oh my God, you know, we're going to go to hell and back. And now I understand why, because by getting rid of NAFTA, which was the trade agreement between Mexico, United States, and Canada, by rewriting that, all of a sudden, United States has the ability to arrest Justin Trudeau, which I believe they already did many moons ago. I did a video on that a long time ago, and his wife, you know, and that was the time where they were putting a lot of panda stuff out there, you know. Justin Trudeau was cuddling up with two pandas on his lap, and then his wife was wearing Love Panda across her jeans.
Explain to the viewers what the panda symbology means. It's when the children are abused really badly, they have these under eyes. So if you see celebrities with pandas, they usually. Oh, do you know what had the this just hit me? The World Wildlife Fund, that was a panda.
Yes.
And who started
the founder? Yes, right. I can't remember his name, but he was part of the cabal. Absolutely.
Prince Philip was one of the founders.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, it was. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And why did they? Right. So we as a race, you know, as a kid, I grew up putting money into these World Wildlife Fund. They used to sit outside the shop. You know, you go into the shop and it'd be like, give some money to the World Wildlife Fund, and you know, bleeding hearts, we'd put the money in. And,
$3 a month. Yeah, $3 a month
was fund these monsters whose intention was to not only doing what they were doing to the children, but also to hunt, to have
human hunting.
Not just human hunting though, they also did it to the animals. So they'd be hunting elephants, but they were hiding behind the shield of the WWF.
Wow.
So nobody could ever question. And this is how deep this nonsense goes.
Okay, so that leads me in one last thought. Oh my God, we keep doing this. But one last thought was I get lucid dreams every morning. And 2 days ago, it was the morning of the conversation with Michael Jacko. I don't know why I call him Jacko. Anyways, Michael Jacko. I had this lucid dream, and you know, lucid dream is when you're awake and you're asleep at the same time, and so you're fully conscious of what you're seeing. And so I have conversations with Creator when I'm in this state, and the Council of Men who I met in my death, so my second death. So I have a full conversation. Anyways, all of a sudden I see this elephant coming out, right? You're talking about elephants. And this elephant came forward, and I saw the trunk and the tusks coming out of a fog. It was like white fog. And then all of a sudden this face came towards me, and it was an elephant. And then there were two elephants flanked on either side, but they were just a couple of feet behind the first one. So it was like a V of them. And then they stopped. And I thought, well, what is this? and there was nothing, no communication from creator, no explanation. It just was a frozen scene. And I said, no, I don't understand. You know, I asked a couple of times, I don't understand. Can you please explain this? And then I heard, you know, that beautiful voice in my mind. And this is different from, you know, what you were talking about earlier. This is an angelic voice. And it's in that tender part right behind my ear. That's my communication. And so I heard creator basically say, well, not basically, he said, elephants are very similar to humans, and they're easy to control through fear or pain. And I went, that's exactly what we're going through here on this planet. They're controlling everyone through fear and pain. Pain of the financial loss and the emotional loss and all of that, and fear of, oh my God, are we all going to die? We got to, you know, assimilate. We got to, you know, acquiesce, right? And do whatever the government is asking us to do. So we're being like elephants. We have all the power in us, and they start young, especially they go after the kids, because if they can chain them up as little ones, you know, and keep that chain, they can just have them on a little rope and they're controlled. Right. And that's what I saw was, you know, that we can, that elephants are very similar to humans in the ability to control them so easily. And then all of a sudden, the vision started to move, and it was like a herd charging forward. And they were coming out of the fog, right, out of the mist, and they were awake. And so then the voice said, God bless anything, not any person, anything that gets in the way of an awake, angry elephant. And I was like, well, that's humans, right? Heaven forbid, not heaven forbid, you know, God bless what's going to happen when the world really wakes up, because it will be a full charge, like a herd of elephants. All of us moving forward saying, yeah, we're not putting up with this anymore. And it's coming, it's so close. We're already there.
I can feel
Yeah.
it. And you know, I'll get the buzz all through me now.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
bring it on.
exciting.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
I can't
Anyways.
wait. Well, I'm enjoying the journey, and listen, talking to you is just a magnificent treat. And there's just tons we could do. I'm looking at the back of your book going, oh yeah, we should talk about that. Talk about that.
I know. Well, we'll have many more conversations, I'm sure. It's 3:11 here in Lisbon time, Portugal, right? So, yeah, I got to get going to another appointment, but it was a pleasure as always. And yeah, Mark, I really look forward to working with you in the future and anything I can do to help. Okay. If you have, I would love to start doing, you know, where we have group calls. If you have any group calls that you'd like to invite me in on, I would love to be able to do those as well, because I love the chat and what comes up, right? Yeah.
So do I. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do loads of things. You take care and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Okay, you too. Take care, hon.
Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye now.